Well, I want to talk about another really big factor in what's going on today and what also went down in 2020, and that's media collusion, because we have this tweet from Oliver Darcy. Look, hey, man, shout out to Oliver Darcy for actually putting this out here. He said, some news in reliable sources. Senior White House and admin officials have been holding briefings with major newsrooms over the past week as they try to reshape economic coverage. The White House, not happy with the news's media coverage of the supply chain and economy, has been working behind the scenes trying to reshape coverage in its favor. Senior White House and admin officials, including NEC Deputy Directors David Kamen and Bharat Ramamurthy, along with Ports Envoy John Porcari, have been briefing major newsrooms over the past week, a source tells me. The officials have been discussing with newsroom trends pertaining to job creation, economic growth, supply chains, and more. The basic argument that has been made: the country's economy is in much better shape than it was last year. I'm told the conversations have been productive, with anchors and reporters and producers getting to talk with officials. To put it simply, they're having secret meetings behind your back because they want the press to change the narrative on the garbage economy, and you're suffering.
This is what they did with Afghanistan. He wanted the Afghani president to tell everyone things were going just fine.
White Houses do background briefings to people to make sure they can understand the complexities of issues, right? And help the media be smart and when they address it. That is not what this is. This is the fact that they have now spent how many trillions of dollars on bills that they've passed to juice this economy, and it's dead. If you take the printing machine away from these clowns, this economy is going to implode, and they know it. Okay, that's why they're up there today with Mitch McConnell and the Republicans doing a gimmick to get relief on the debt ceiling. Okay, now what Darcy's outing them on is that they're back now because they got to have the media work with them to sell it to the American people. Remember, they're talking on the talk shows all week. The media is not, or Psaki said, the media is not doing. You're not doing a good job of selling our program.
Yeah. Yep.
Now they need a media partner to sell it. Okay, because every time you see anything with metrics like the jobs report last week, which was what, less than half of what the jobs report, and people got to remember, this was with a massive infusion of cash. They say it's different than last year. Yeah, you've had another $3 trillion, another $2.5 or $3 trillion has been juiced into the system. Okay, and yes, it's a lot worse than last year.
Have you seen this before?
I can't. I don't have my glasses on.
The M1 money supply.
Oh yeah, right there.
I love it. Right around the starts of the pandemic, they instituted a change in reporting where they said your savings accounts are now basically checking accounts, which causes the money supply to explode by several 100%. But they try and argue. They always say to me, Tim, you don't understand that huge spike is just a change in reporting because savings are now. And okay, well look at this spike. We went from, what do we got here? 16,583, and that's in what, billions, I think it is? Billions of dollars. And now it's at 20,000 billions of dollars. In the span of, what do we got? We got from June 2020 till October of 2021. We have jumped $4,000 billion in the money supply. That is massive.
This is fiat money. This is the reason they have forced you. I tell people, right now, and I'm not telling you to buy gold and silver or platinum, and I'm not telling you to buy crypto. But here's what I am telling you. You on your own have better get smart on your own. Sit there, do your study, talk to people, because they're forcing you. They're destroying the U.S. dollar in front of our eyes, and they're destroying it for generations to come. If they get this spending done, the $7 trillion programmatically that you can't take back, every person in this audience under 45 years old, you better start to look for another store of value than the U.S. dollar. You either got to look at precious metals or you got to have to look at crypto because they've destroyed. It's there. This is the machine. The machine right now is out of control. And you can see. Look, let's talk facts. Look at this gimmick. Tonight, the one piece of leverage the deplorables have is the debt ceiling. Right, they got to come to you and get 60 votes to kind of push the debt ceiling. That you've got them by the short and curlies. And so tonight, as we sit here, they've got a gimmick up there to do it with 51 votes. So they increase it, and the Republicans don't have to take any hits for it. And it can go on. They need, and remember, they can't sell enough bonds to the Japanese and to the Chinese or to the insurance companies. Right, they can't raise taxes. Taxes, all revenues to the government's around $3.5 trillion. Right. They need that huge gap, which is $1.5 trillion a year in perpetuity, plus all these other crazy programs that are half-baked and they haven't thought through. That comes from printing money, okay? And that is on people think it's free. It's not free. It's the full faith and credit of the United States of America. That would be this audience. Okay, that is on your shoulders. Okay, and that is what's going to destroy us. It's out of control, and the uniparty takes care of themselves. That's why you have Wicker up there saying, yeah, we're thinking about combat troops and tactical nuclear weapons. The uniparty, the party of Davos, the Wall Street, the global woke corporations, and the guys they paid in Washington, D.C.
What do you think happens to property value?
Well, I think right now, that's why I think, look, with zero interest rates, this is the scam. They have interest rates artificially low, near zero. The assets are increased. That's why you had the concentration coming off of the crash in 2008, the greatest concentration of wealth, because what they did, they took the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve from $880 million to $4.5 trillion, infused it with liquidity, the system with liquidity, assets blow up. Trump called in 2012, best time to buy stocks or real estate. It's coming right now. Same thing's happened. This is why we've had this greatest concentration of wealth ever since the CCP virus. And it's going to continue. As soon as they cut the machine off, the stock market will collapse.
So for the average person who's listening, they got a mortgage on their house, 35-year mortgage or 30-year mortgage or whatever. What does this mean to them and their mortgage?
Well, if the 35-year mortgage has been done recently, first off, get as long-term mortgage as you can get, as cheap as you can get now, why rates are where they are. Because remember, by and large, outside of your house, which I realize is 90% of your net worth, negative interest rates, low interest rates is an unfair tax on working class people. Your checking account, your savings account, you get no juice in it. There's no way for you to accumulate any capital. You're continually on the treadmill. While the Larry Finks of the world, why do you think they're going around saying, hey, you're not going to own anything, you don't need to own anything? We'll own it. Larry Fink's going around, they're buying up all the apartment complexes, buying up all the houses to rent it back to you. So on your income, you pay for it, and they get the increase in the asset value.
You'll have no privacy, you will own nothing, and you'll be happier more than ever. That's their policy that they've been pushing. And since the beginning of COVID, I always said the thing that's going to hurt people the most is not this virus, but the economic consequences of these larger moves that are being made, because it's not only the devaluation of the U.S. dollar, it's not only hyper printing the Federal Reserve just giving their friends all of their money in the hedge on Wall Street, but it's also the destruction of the global supply chain and the global economy, which is being eviscerated right now, right in front of our eyes, and there's no fixing it, and it's only going to get way worse before it gets any better.
The two greatest concentrations of wealth in mankind's history was the result of the solution for the financial collapse brought on by Wall Street and their guys in Washington, D.C. in 2008, right? The solutions for that. And what happened with the CCP virus. Those are the two greatest concentrations of wealth. Now you have a 1% that owns 40 or 50% of the country. Here's the thing. If we don't start to restructure this and to get more capitalists into America, and that means every person's a capitalist, every person gets a piece of the action, this system as we have it now will not survive. It cannot survive because the only way it survives is they got to keep printing money, and they're about at the end of that.
I just need to point out, because you can't see it on the camera, or those who are just listening, that every time Luke starts talking and getting into it, Steve just starts pointing at him like nodding.
This is my anarchist. This is my anarchist now.
Welcome to the light side, Steve. We're gonna enlighten you about government not being involved in our business.
The Sith Lord appreciates that.
Let's talk about I guess on this issue, one thing that's always hard for me to answer, and that's why I asked about houses, is what regular people have to be worried about. I think the obvious thing is the price of your groceries. So I've gone to I was at the grocery store recently, and I asked the lady who's doing checkout how price has been, and she's telling me it's insane. It's crazy. It is, yeah. We've got I hear from more and more people talking about how they go to the store and they can't afford it anymore. So this is what happens. You've got people in these big cities who vote in someone like Joe Biden because the media colludes to prop up a narrative, to protect him, to do whatever. Then they don't know what's going on. They're ill-informed. For me, I'll tell you what I want. I want regular people to have their own agency and their own power. I want them to know as much as possible so they make the right decisions, so I don't got to worry about it. It's frustrating. I'm driving down the street and I see a guy and he's pushing a wheelbarrow, but he's backwards. He doesn't know what he's doing. And I'm like, that's frustrating me. Guy, spin it around. Grab it by the handlebars. Your life will be a whole lot easier. Then I don't got to worry about you screwing something up for everybody else. But what's happening with the media, the things that Oliver Darcy points out, is that regular people are confused and wrong. They thought Trump was the problem. Joe Biden, the Biden administration, the remnants of Obama 2.0 or whatever, that is the problem. It was the problem. I recognized it then, and we're seeing it now.
I want to take this inflation thing. Let's use this as an object lesson on their smugness and arrogance, and I want to tie it back to what he just said. We now have remember, when guys like Peter Navarro and Steve Cortez on the War Room every day, and we're the first ones to call the pandemic back in January 2020, we shifted the show. Those guys came on the day that Biden took office, and I said, hey, you look at this guy's policies, we're going to be heading into 1970 stagflation, which is slow growth and inflation. They're the first guys to start talking about, and Cortez is a guy in the pits, is a trader, and Navarro is a PhD from Harvard's economics department, top in the country, right? And I know guys laugh at him, but he's a damn good economist. They said this is not going to be transitory because now you have the double whammy. They've juiced the system, and they even sit there. Larry Summers, the guy, said we should have never done that interim. We should have never done that last 1.9 trillion that we did, that Biden and those guys passed in the spring. We shouldn't have done that. So now you have the worst of both worlds. You have what is called demand pull, right, and cost push because of the broken supply chains and the structural problems that Navarro says never been dealt with from the CCP virus, and particularly because in China. So now you have a double whammy that's not transitory. It's baked in. It's 6, 8, 10%, right? And think about it. With wages increasing just at 2 to 3% and inflation at 6 to 8%, that's a 5 to 6% absolute tax on working class people. They're getting eviscerated right now. And remember, Ron Klain, the chief of staff of the White House 90 days ago, said these are high class problems. Right? These are high class problems. Right?
We saw that from the progressive left. It said the same thing.
CNN said inflation is good for
they
poor
try
people
to sell this.
and great for rich people. And bad for rich people.
Let's go to Darcy's thing. That article right there, Brian brought that up. That is the single best example from Oliver Darcy's own network. If you look at that article, it's a joke. They came out the other day and said, hey, what nobody's getting here on the messaging is that inflation is actually good for the poor and bad for the wealthy.
Yep.
Did you see the
I mean,
old?
it's insane.
There's an
It's
old,
but this is they don't respect working class people enough to have the common decency to sit there and go, hey, here's where we are. Here's what we're trying to accomplish. Here's what it's going to be. They just want to continue to browbeat you over there with information war to make it seem like it's your fault.
Well, that's because they're robbing and stealing them.
There's an old viral, old SNL skit that's been going viral. And I think it's Dan Aykroyd who says, I think it was during Carter, hey, inflation's a good thing. Don't you want to own a $5,000 suit? Wouldn't you like to own a $500,000 car? I know I would. Smoke a $50 cigar.
That's actually kind of a question I have for you, Steve. Maybe you can answer it, maybe you can't. If you have a $100,000 house, the economy gets inflated by 50%, the house naturally is worth $150,000 now, just due to inflation. At what point, if you keep inflating the economy, does the house become worth zero? Or does the house's value no longer, it's not worth $100 million anymore? Like, at what point do you inflate more money but the value drops?
At the point where people can't afford to finance it, right? You're going to have an asset bubble. This is, okay. One of the things that President Trump did, let's go back to 2008, which you know from the Occupy movement. When Obama came in, and they had the balance sheet was $880 billion, and his guy said, "Let's inflate the balance sheet of the Fed. We'll just force cash into the system to save the system, to prop up assets." Okay, you had an asset bubble that was increasing. When Trump came in his first 2 years of office with that 3% growth, he actually took $1 trillion off the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve. He actually shrunk. It wasn't quantitative easing; it was quantitative tightening. Okay, and that's one of the things he never gets credit for. Those kind of growth rates, low inflation, with not unjuicing the system, was an act of heroism. Now, when Powell came in and Mnuchin and these other guys, we started to put it back on. You've got, the balance sheet of the Fed, I think, is $6 trillion or $7 trillion today because of what the CCP virus. Besides, that's over and above what the national debt is. So my point is, Wall Street always wants to inflate their way out of here. The problem is you get an asset bubble and then people can't afford it. And the real economy can't keep up. You don't have people that have jobs that can start to afford your $100,000 house that's now $1 million house. So you're kind of getting into a vicious circle. And this is what people are problem. This is the problem people have right now. The Zero Hedge has a great article. I think it's from Birch Gold. The guy's name's Brandon Smith, I think it is on Zero Hedge today. It talks about the coming collapse, right? And the coming collapse is when they got to stop printing money. Because in printing money, remember, it's on the backs of working class people. You or your kids are eventually going to pay this off because they ain't paying it off. Right. So that's why it's got to be certain things go up, and particularly like housing and some of your assets, your asset value will go up. Now it's about, can you get priced out of? Can kids today, because you have no capital, you have no ability to accumulate capital, how do you get the down payment? Or you don't have a great enough job to actually make the mortgage payment.
You're paying for it already with the dollar being devalued.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Now, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Now, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.